Hello and welcome back to another coding session with Mr. Jacob. Today we want to further implement something and to do some work on our RetroPulse mod tracker player that we will in the end have as a simple menu bar app or a tray icon app on Windows and Linux and stuff like that, which you can click on, load up some directory with mod files and tracker files. Essentially everything that libopenmpt can play, and we will have a little bit of UI here, and you simply can then play your favorite retro music with it while, for example, while working or something like that. And yeah, we have done some work already on this channel. Like for example, in the last one, we have fixed the information channel that is going from the back end to the front end, so that we can essentially, when we open up a song here, that we can have updated information like at what position we are, what's the song called, and what is actually the length of the song and stuff like that. Information that is actually only available on the back end is now through a communications channel pushed to the front end. And we have done this the last session. If you are interested in that, please take a look at the linked session in the upper right corner or in the description of the video. In the meantime, I have done some little work on that off camera. For example, I have fixed this eject button, which I wasn't able to find in one of the sessions where we built up this UI. You might remember. The session will be linked up there as well. This eject button actually is now a skip forward button or something like that, and I've just rotated it by 90 degrees because that's essentially what perfect eject button there. So I fixed that, and I have actually refactored the code a little to be split up into multiple files. And I have done two more things. I've implemented a very little sort of playlist struct, which simply keeps a list of files now that we can open and the current index, and therefore we can actually jump forward here, and we can actually jump backward here as you would have or you would want to with a visual player there. Another thing that I've done is I've actually used one more function from the libopenmpt. I have used the getMetadata function to be able to load from a module here something like the title, for example, or we can actually have something like the artist and the title if it is there, and we can actually then show this here, and that's what I've done. I have just pushed this information. I can show you this quite easily. I have pushed this information using our event system, which we implemented the last time during an onload event. So we get an event now which is loaded, and we actually pushing certain kinds of information there, like for example the file name, the file path, the metadata, as I've said, like title, artist. There are comment fields, there is some user data. Everything that actually is provided by libopenmpt is pushed there. We are currently only using artist and title for display, but in the future we may allow a little extra icon there showing all the metadata or something like that. And the duration of the song. That's everything that we are simply pushing through our communications channel every time a new song is played, a new module is played, and we are displaying that. And we got that is actually the point where I now want to get on implementing some more with you, because we have a slight little problem there. Where is the position where I display the title? Actually, there that is the title, or the artist plus title and stuff like that is constructed based on the message. We've got a little problem. If we have actually let me just quickly start up the application there. If we actually have a title there which is small enough, like this, it's no problem at all. It's fitting perfectly. But if we have something like, let me quickly comment the title out here and put something longer in there, something longer that would not fit the player screen anymore, something like that, then we actually have a problem, because now the song title would be cut off. And what I want to do now is, what I want to implement with you now today is something more UI related. So we will do kind of a lot of TypeScript and maybe Tailwind and React.js there to implement a simple component, something like a marquee component, which we had back in the day in HTML. And I guess it is still somewhat working, maybe? Let's see. I've actually not used this component for a lot of time. So let's see. This is actually still working, but first of all, it's not looking very nice. It's kind of janky. And as you can see, if I hover over it, it doesn't even know this one on the JSX subsystem there. And I'm not even sure that this is something that should be working in all browsers anymore. So we are definitely not using this one, but we are building our own, which is a lot more configurable, a lot more a lot nicer and not so janky. It is using CSS animations, at least that's what I'm planning there. And it's giving us a lot more freedom to do what we want. Essentially, what I want to do is I don't want to end this like this one and scroll out of there like there is nothing and then start again from the other side, but I just want to kind of have it loop around like you would with more modern systems. So let's go back to our to our example here before. I guess we can simply have the long title there for testing purposes, and then we will switch back to the normal title later on again. So how would we actually do this? Yeah, I think we should start by creating a new component there. So yeah, let's just do a new file in I guess components UI, and we would create something like marquee TSX. Why not call the component marquee? So now we need something like a marquee component, which we want to export. Let's make this very easy here. It will take, I guess, some sort of props, but let's see. Let's make this up piece by piece. It would simply return something like a div. And yeah, and there we would have the first property that it would get. I guess it will return a div around children, so that we can more or less simply replace, where is it? Where was it? There. So that we can more or less simply replace this div here with our marquee component. So I guess we should implement that first. So let's do export type marquee props. So it has some sort of props there, and first of all it has children, which would be React Node, or how was it actually called? Isn't it called React Node? Yeah, React Node. So this should actually work. And now we should be able to simply put in here a destructuring of the children here, and this one has the type marquee props then. Okay, so essentially now we should be able to go ahead and replace this div with marquee. It won't look right yet because we are not handling the class name there, but we should be able to do that and then import this component here. And it should, as you can see, it displays already the children that we put in there. However, it doesn't take this class name property here, which it already tells us that it is not assignable to this marquee props. So I guess we should go back there and allow that. So let's add something like class name here, which would be a string as a property. And now let's, I guess, take this class name here. And now let's put the class name here in this div. And now, as you can see, it is looking exactly as it was before. But this is actually a good thing, because now that it is looking exactly as it did before, we can start implementing our own custom kind of code and behavior here. And first of all, I guess we need something in order to be able to scroll that. And then we will come to all the different edge cases that come with creating a scrolling component because there are some edge cases that we will need to take care of. First of all, I guess we need to figure out how to scroll this at all. So as I've said, I would like to use CSS animations for that. So let's make it possible for us to define a CSS animation, and that is actually quite simply done by using a fragment return here so that we can actually return multiple other inner nodes there, like the div container, for example. And what I want to do again as well is I want to have some inline styling there. So let's format this a little. And this is actually, what this actually does is it allows me to define CSS styling based on this specific component or for this specific component. And once the building process, the application building process of our Next.js app with Tailwind and stuff like that runs, it will automatically take this style out, put it in the primary loaded style information, create a dynamic class name for it, and attach it to all the different instances of this component so that it actually has a scoped style to this component in a very efficient manner, and we don't even need to take care of any of that because it will do it automatically. So for now, I guess what I want to do is I want to define a new animation here, something like keyframes marquee, for example. And I want to have it a 0% position, and I want to have it 100% position because we simply want to animate kind of to from. I'm not even sure. I guess we could do something like, I guess this is valid as well. Maybe we should do it like that. However, I'm not 100% sure that this actually is valid. So, because I kind of never use it. So let's stay with 100 and 0 because I know that this will work. So now how will we actually animate this? The way that we want to animate that actually is by simply using a transform, specifically a translation transform on the x-axis by simply moving the corresponding element. So I guess I can specify transform, translate x here, and at the start I wanted to have a translation of 0%. I want to have it stay where it actually is. And once it finished transforming, it should actually be at translate x 100%. So I wanted actually 100%, which would be the size of this thing. So the full width moved to the side so that it actually is kind of out of the view. And we will actually see in a second how this works out. We will actually most likely modify this value here because there is a neat little trick how you can do this endless moving something along a line, and that's what I'm going to implement here now. This will essentially be most likely later on 50%, or better said minus 50, because, and this is minus 100 because we want to go to the left and not to the right. Yeah, actually that makes sense. So let's make it minus 100, and I'm just doing minus 100 to show you how this will work out in the end, and then you will understand how this actually needs to be modified to properly work like we want it to. So now we have this keyframes. So now what we need is some sort of class like, for example, animation marquee. It is actually an arbitrary name. I could name it however I want. And we will tell it that we want everything that has this class should have a specific animation, and it should do something like, for example, in 10 seconds time, it should do something like, I don't know, a linear animation there, which should infinite, I guess it is infinite or infinitely. No, I think the corresponding thing is infinite. So it should repeat infinite every time again and again and again. Once it stops, it should start again. And it should use our marquee keyframes. So this should actually be everything that we need. So let's kind of test it. What would happen if I attach this here now? Before we can actually attach this here, we need another utility function there. We need the cn function from the lib utils. That's actually a neat little utility that comes with Next.js and Tailwind, or is it ChatCN? I don't know. I essentially have it in all of my projects, so I don't think a lot about this, which actually is capable of easily combining class names. So what it actually uses is, yeah, that's actually what it uses. It uses Tailwind merge and CLSX. So what it actually combines is you simply put in as many arguments as you want, having class name strings or class name objects in there, and it will intelligently combine them up and even remove doubled Tailwind classes and stuff like that, which makes actually a lot of sense. So we want to use this one here to easily combine here, or to easily include another class name into this class names that we got from the user here, from ourselves essentially, but from the outside world. So what I want to actually put now in here is animate marquee in conjunction with the already existing class names. And what this should have actually done is make this thing here move. Why doesn't that do it? Because I named this one animation and not animate. Let's correct that. And now, as you can see, we at least have some sort of movement there. It is not right yet, and it doesn't do what it should. It doesn't scroll, and it even has still this capped off text here, but at least it is moving already. So yeah, let's take a look at that. Let's for now just disable that again, maybe. Okay, and let's think about that. The problem here is the following. First of all, our container where this is in is actually only providing us, and we can actually take a look at that. If I open up the dev console and click on that, somewhere there, come on. It is only something like 320 pixels wide or something like that. It's actually, that's actually the, wait, we have some sort of semicolon there. Where's this semicolon coming from? I have somewhere in my code, I would assume I have got a semicolon which doesn't actually belong there. Let me quickly check that. That's kind of strange. Where is this? Do you see this thing here? There is a semicolon in our code which shouldn't be there. It's actually, it seems to be in the page TSX because it's below this thing. Wait, what? Okay, that's strange. Wait, it is below our. Let's quickly find that and remove that, because I have no idea where that comes from. So yeah, there it is. Do you see that? There is a semicolon which shouldn't be there. So now it looks a little bit better and the semicolon is gone. Okay, so, but nevertheless, it didn't change our problem here. So this thing is now 324 in width. So that is kind of exactly what you see there as a square. It's only the visible area. But what we want is, we want to have this element essentially have the full width and be moved within an element with that visible area. So makes sense that we then need this container. We need this container where this is moved within. And therefore, we can actually do this by kind of nesting this into another container, which we make div class name inline block. So now this thing should actually have the full width, and the outer thing should still be the one that has the 324. So let's see if I'm right. So if I look at this outer element here, it has 324 oh, and I remember I can make this bigger, can't I? So no, that was too big. So let's make it a little bit like this so that we can kind of see things. Okay. So it has 324 in width, and the inner one should hopefully be, yeah, the inner one, as you can see in the highlight there, as well as in the information here, has now 536. So if I now do apply the animation to this one, so animate marquee. As you can see, it kind of looks already a lot better, but there will happen one thing. At least the moment it's scrolled out, it will, as you have seen, flip back again into the system here, into the place. And that's actually a little bit of a problem, of course, because we need to fix this. We could, of course, change the animation so that in the end it kind of jumps to the end screen there and then does the same thing as the marquee element that we had first, the real HTML element. But what I like usually to do is the following. I like to do something like I have a separator here. Then I kind of double up the content, and it's important to double it up fully, and we will fix the spacing and stuff in a second. But you need to put the elements that you want to, or the content that you want to scroll there. Then you need your separator, and then this whole thing you need to double. And now you only scroll to 50% and not to 100%. And what now optically happens is it always goes to the point where it just has half of that. So just after this mark of a spacer there, and then it jumps back to the start of the animation again. So essentially it jumps optically, rendering wise, to exactly the same optically and starts again. And therefore it looks like an endless animation, which actually is quite nice. And we can quickly fix this up, I guess, by just having something like putting those all into spans with a little spacing there, I guess. So let's maybe do that with a margin. Let's remove that. Let's duplicate that 4 times. And let's make this here our separator, and this is the children then again, and this will be our separator, and now it should already look a little bit nicer. So let's see. And as you can see, this now looks actually quite fine, and we kind of have already now created an easy marquee. So we have now our marquee there. We can actually put any content in there, and it will properly and happily scroll. There are a couple of things that we need to fix up. We, for example, need to make sure that everything that is in this children's element is never wrapped into multiple lines, which is kind of, I guess, what we did here before with our white space no wrap. But if we wouldn't have white space no wrap there, actually something like this would happen, which doesn't look good at all, and it destroys completely our animation, of course. And as you can see, we have another problem. Now that we have something that actually fits in there, the whole animation thing doesn't look and doesn't work anymore. So I guess first of all, let's fix up this white space thingy here by simply always making sure that our base class here has a white space, not normal, but no wrap. So now we have fixed this one. The other thing that you might have noticed already is that the speed we are scrolling with actually is dependent on the kind of the length or the amount of text that we are putting in there. So if I'm now putting a much longer thing in there, it will go a lot faster, and we don't want that. We want the same scrolling speed, essentially, no matter how many text or how many content is there, because the speed should always stay the same. The reason why this does not happen is because we have to provide it with an animation time. So how long should it take to scroll from 0 to -50? So essentially, now that we doubled up the content, how long should it take to scroll the whole content? And as the content grows and this time here stays the same, actually, yeah, it essentially moves faster to accomplish that scrolling of the whole content. So we kind of need to know how long this content is in order to kind of calculate this value. And once we have done that, we can actually use this information to fix another problem. The problem is that we don't want to scroll if the text is smaller than the container and therefore actually fits in there, because then there is no reason to scroll. But first of all, let's find a way to calculate the length of this text. And that is actually not that easy. The best way to do this, at least to my knowledge and how I usually do it, is to create, for such cases, to create a separate element that is hidden, but within the container where it is rendered in, so it has the same styling and the same configuration and everything, and then measure this container kind of, which is invisible. So let's do this by ensuring first one thing. We're ensuring that our base container is a relative anchor. So essentially this should not change anything rendering wise, but it makes sure that everything that we position relative or absolute within this container will always be anchored to this container and not the next relative or absolute anchor above, so that we not unintentionally anchor something to the body or something like that, because we will use absolute now. So what I now do is I put a class, a new element in here with a class name of absolute, so that we make it position absolute, actually, that are actually Tailwind components here, Tailwind classes here, which make position relative and position absolute, as you can actually see when I hover over them. So we make this thing absolute so that it does not in any way conflict with this one. So it is there, it is laying above it, but it will not have anything that it conflicts with rendering wise or positioning wise with this one. And we make it an inline block as well, because we wanted to essentially have exactly the same rendering properties than this one here. And we close it so that this is rendered again then. And we actually then put the children in there. And what you can now see is that we have another thing here lying kind of above it. And that is exactly what we want, because if we now take a look at this one, it has the full width of this element, because it is not constrained in any way as we have absolutely positioned it. And as you can see, it now has this rendered position, this rendered width, and it has it in a way that is actually fitting the CSS formatting. So if we make the font bigger, or the white spaces bigger, or change anything in the rendering there, we can actually still access it and its width. And what we now need to simply do is we simply make this one invisible, which actually applies a visibility hidden here, so that we just don't see it. Don't make the error of making it display none. Like if you do hidden, for example, it will be display none. And display none would essentially kind of do the same thing, even though it of course conflicts with inline block, because that is changing the display properties as the property as well. But the problem here is now that it is hidden, it will not be layouted by the browser engine. There won't be any reflow whatsoever, and so we don't have the sizing. So we actually need something like invisible here. So it needs to be incorporated into the layout but not shown. You could actually do this with opacity 0 there as well, but usually visibility hidden works better for other reasons there. Furthermore, make sure that you position it within your block, which should, by the way, have something like an overflow hidden here as well. I guess we have this in our page TSX here as well. Yeah, we are doing that here as well. So maybe we should not have that here, but we should have that in our marquee. So you need to make sure that this thing has overflow hidden and that you have this as a relative anchor, so that then this content can actually be rendered but positioned in there. So let me show you what would happen. Most likely, I'm not 100% sure, but what would happen if I remove this relative. It still would work. This thing would still be here. It would still have the proper sizing. It would even be at the correct position. That's actually interesting. However, I would assume if I make this a little bit smaller, there, as you can see, now we have a problem, because now this thing, even though invisible, is bigger than our rendering canvas here, our body kind of, so it will create scroll bars. So now if I put this in the, or if I anchor this differently, yeah, within my component here, which has an overflow hidden anyways, because I don't want it to show this these things outside of it anyways, we won't have any problem there as well, because the absolute position component will be cut off as well. So that just to keep in mind when you're doing something like this. Okay, so now we actually have this thing. Now we need to be able to access it from our JavaScript code to get its size actually. So the easiest way to do this in React is by simply creating a reference to it so that we can then actually access it. So let's call this measurement ref and do a use ref, which is empty at first. So let's import that. And now let's put just a ref here and tell it to use the measurement ref. There we go. And now we should be able to reference this thing. And now what we want to do is we want to actually determine its width and then use this width in conjunction with this animation here. So what we can do now is we are creating a use effect function, which essentially is run every time this thing is either anchored into the page, so it is actually it is mounted, so it is created there, or that something that we provide here changes. One of those properties changes. So what we have now here is I'm telling it that if the children change, I want to re-render or rerun this effect. So effect is essentially in React the position where you can do something JavaScript-y that React can't do out of the box within its life cycle, and tell it to do it whenever it is needed, kind of. So to apply a certain effect to your application. Effect, not in the sense of a visual effect, but effect in the sense of something that can cause something. So cause and effect in this sense. So what we want to do there is we kind of want the measurement width, or we could call it, yeah, measurement width. Let's call it measurement width or content width. Let's call it content width. So we want to determine the content width, which then would be the measurement ref, and we can tell it that we want the current, which is a property on the use ref, because this is actually an object. And we put this exclamation mark there because essentially this one can be null, but this use effect should never be called before this one has rendered. So essentially we can be sure that there should always be something in it. And then we can just access the offset with property. Should actually be able to just access the offset with property here. Okay, doesn't this have the proper type there? Doesn't it? No. Interesting. So maybe I need to put HTML div element here. Okay, so we need to actually specify the type that this referent holds, because TypeScript seems to not be able to infer that from the ref being used here. Yeah, okay, I guess that's okay. So what we have there now is we can access the offset width, which is simply a property on an HTML element, which we can use to get its current width. So now we know what the content width is. So now we need to kind of transport it somewhere here. And for this, we will use a state. So let's do something like content width, set content width, come on, equals use state, and it should be 0 first. Let's import use state, please. Thank you. And now what we can do is we can simply do set content width, content width. And now we have a property, a state, which we can actually use here, and React automatically knows when this changes, it needs to re-render and something like that. So what we now can do is we can put some CSS magic in here, because CSS by now can do calculations. So we can now simply use put the content width information in here, and we could multiply it with something like, no idea, like 0.3 seconds or something like that. And now this should actually still animate, but it doesn't. And it's kind of interesting why it doesn't. Let's see why it does not. Maybe I did something wrong here. So the content width is a value which should be set here now by our use effect. So yeah, and this is the measurement ref. We referenced it there. Oh no, it is working. It is just painfully slow. Okay, so let's make me this not 0.3, but maybe 0.03. Okay, that's a lot better. And yeah, I guess we can fine tune this 0.05, 0.07. Maybe that's, or 0.06. Maybe that's a nice something between 0.07 and 0.06 is, I guess, a neat scrolling speed for our song titles there. Yeah, but I guess we can modify that and tweak that in the end. So now we actually have this dependent on the amount of things in there. So if I just change this again and copy this here and put it there a lot of times, it has still the same scrolling speed. So we actually did what we wanted there. Another thing which we can now actually address is the problem of having, no, that was the wrong window, I wanted this one, is the problem of if it actually fits in there. Let me go back to our original title here, which is now an empty string because we haven't loaded anything. Let me load up something here. As you can see now, this would actually fit in there. So it renders this thing twice and then scrolls, and then it kind of ends. So the whole illusion is broken. And the other thing is that it actually doesn't need to scroll at all. So let's somehow fix that. And now that we actually know the width, we can actually determine the width of our container as well, so we know what kind of window do we have to display our content in. And if this window is at least as big as the whole string in there, we don't need to scroll at all. So let's create actually another reference here. And let's maybe put this state up here, because then we have a neater formatting there. So what we now have is a container ref, which is a use ref HTML. Oh, can't see that. Div element null as well. And so now what we can actually do is we can attach this reference to our outer container. So this is the container ref. And now we can actually do something like const container ref is the container ref. And now let's introduce another state and call this state animate, set animate. And this one will actually be a Boolean, which starts with false. So let's maybe indicate this type here, even though I guess it will be Boolean. It will be inferred, as well as this one, which should be a number. Just let's make sure. So now actually, why is this not block scope variable container ref used? Oh, no, this should have been container width. Yeah, and not container ref. So what we now do is we set the container width, which is fine, I guess. And then we can decide if we should animate by saying set animate. And we want to only animate if the container ref, container width is actually smaller than the content width. So if the container width is smaller than the content width, then we actually need to animate. Otherwise we don't. And now we can actually use this animate state here to do something based on that. So what we can actually do now is we can either have, when it's set animate, we are doing this here, and otherwise I'm just taking this there and reusing a part of it. And otherwise, let's format that. We are not animating, but simply creating this simple container here without the spacing. Now we don't need it, and the children. So what now automatically has happened is, as nothing, actually the nothing string perfectly fits into this container. There is no separator anymore and nothing to be animated there. And if I now open this, it should, yeah, and as you can see, it should perfectly fit there, and it doesn't scroll and doesn't do anything. But however, the moment that I have something bigger in there again, I hope at least, where is my marquee thing here? It should again, yeah, as you can see, it should again start to scroll. So that works quite nice. However, even though I just thought we might be already done, I just realized something. What happens now if I make this window smaller? Even though this, yeah, that's what I feared. So even though this shouldn't be a problem at all within our application, because we will have in the end a fixed size, I guess we should address this just to make sure that everything is properly done, and we may even be able to reuse this component in the future should we do other UIs or other stuff. The problem here is that the spacing of this area here might change. So if you change the window size, this spacing might change. So our calculation is then off, because we are only doing that the moment the component is mounted. So, or the moment the children are changing, and this actually didn't change the children. So what actually should work is if I do it like this. Now I press play, nothing happens, but if I go to the next track, which is a lot smaller, okay, so if I go back again, it should scroll again, because the children have changed. So as the children changed, this use effect will be called again, and it will calculate the widths and offsets again, and then this will properly work out. However, I would like to have it handle this one properly as well. Now it fits again, which it did not before, and now the scrolling is already broken again. So that's not good. So yeah, I guess if I now go forward and back, it is okay again. But I guess we should address that. We should address that by simply maybe monitoring the resize event here. Yeah, I guess that is reasonably simple. So let's do something like handle or calculate sizing, no, maybe just handle resize or something like that. And it will be a function where we put all of that stuff in there that we define within our use effect function. Yeah, that's actually okay. So we will then call this handle resize function, and for now nothing should have changed actually. So this should still, come on, play. This should still work. It doesn't do anything. I can now make this smaller. It doesn't handle that. I go forward, I go back, and it scrolls. So this actually still works as it should. But now if I do something like I want to attach to the window add event listener resize handler the handle resize function, and then of course I need to have a destructor there which does window event, remove event listener resize handle resize. That should actually identify it. Yeah, that should actually be able to identify it precisely, so that in case this one is done again or rendered again, if for example the track changes, so the children changes, that it can then remove this resize handler again before re-registering it. We need to make sure of that. So now actually once I move this, I guess it should have done that. Why didn't it do it? that's kind of interesting. Why didn't this work? Maybe I need to kind of restart the app for that. Let's just quickly do that and let's check. Sometimes due to those handlers, it gets into a state where it simply doesn't do what it should anymore. So let's check. Let's open this one. Okay, this works. So when I now make it smaller, what does happen? It starts scrolling. So that actually worked. So if I make it bigger again, it works as well. So if I go forward and backward, it works. If I make this bigger, it works. So I guess we have now a scrolling, a properly scrolling title element there. Or did we forget anything? I don't think we did. So I guess we have something nicely working there in what? In like, let's see, 68 lines of code. Yeah. So I guess this works as it is intended to work, which is quite nice. And we have implemented this marquee scroller here. No, not map. I wanted to go to page. What did I do there? So I guess we can quickly maybe check that once it changes, yeah, it will scroll again. But we did already check that by making the window smaller. So I guess we can remove that again. And now we can only have this marquee here, which we can use at any place where we haven't got enough space to display something, and it will automatically scroll. We could maybe do something like make the separator configurable. So kind of this thing here. Yeah, maybe let's do that. Separator string, and I guess we make it optional. And then we will do something like separator, which will by default be a minus. Let's do that. And then we can now simply do something like separator here and here as well. And now it doesn't build anymore. Why doesn't it build? What's its problem here? Expression expected? Yeah, where did I do something wrong? Unexpected token div, class names here, no web. Wait, what? Can we make this a little bit bigger so that I can actually read it? So where's the highlighting everything here? Come on. Where's the problem actually? So unexpected div at where div? That's where. What did I do? Wait, what? It doesn't like this one. Yeah, because I kind of removed this one there. And now it doesn't like something because of some other reason. Wait. Did I remove even more stuff there? So this is span class, separator there. This is a span, this is children, this is that. Okay, JSX expression must have a parent element. So what did I do wrong? I did something somewhere bad. So wait, this should actually work. Why doesn't it? What did I do? Wait, what? Okay, let's just go back and make this okay, this does not go as I would have assumed it would. So I can do separator there, separator. Yeah, okay, that fits, I guess. So still everything is working. So if I now simply replace separator here, and I simply replace separator here. Okay, I have no idea what I did wrong there. Most likely you saw what I did wrong there and were screaming at your screens, and I didn't see it, but nevertheless, now it seems to work, and now we should actually be able to go back here and say if we would like to separator equals something like kind of %%, why not? And now we should actually have 2% signs as separator if we make this, again, small enough for it to scroll. So let's see. Yeah, so now we can kind of configure our separator. We could even put an HTML element in there, I guess. So yeah, that works. No, we can't put an HTML element in there, but maybe we should allow that. I have no idea. We could, if we need to in the future anyways, we could just allow an React element, a React node in there, and then we can put something. We could do something like foobar if we wanted to. We needed to change that, but we could no, like this. We actually could if we want, but yeah, I guess we will stay with the minus there because I think that looks actually quite okay. So do we have anything else that we want to modify in our marquee component here? There is actually one thing that I don't really like, is that it needs to modify this whole animation CSS style here every time this content width changes. That's actually something that I don't really like. And I'm not even 100% sure that this works if we have multiple marquee elements. Oh, let me check something. So if I actually have one marquee element with a title here and one with, for example, our very long, let's copy that string. That should actually then maybe cause a problem. Yeah, now they are on top of each other, and they are, however, no, they are scrolling with the same. They are scrolling with the same speed. So I guess the injected CSS thingy there is intelligent enough to give those things two different. Let me pause this. To give those things two different tagged CSS styles. Yeah. So these numbers are different. So these classes are different. So this actually works, but I don't like it actually, because it shouldn't be necessary. So maybe we can actually fix this kind of. And I don't know if it's intelligent enough to detect that then, but let's see. We may be able to use a CSS property here, so a custom property. So what is if I do something like I put a plain CSS property in there called content width, and I'm then calculating with that so that we actually have static CSS there. And now I put this information onto our base container by simply doing something like style. And now I need to do content. Maybe I can even do it like this, because it's more like the way you would do it. And then I put here content width. And let me quickly fix this down here as well. So minus width. Okay, it's object literal may only specify known properties. Yeah, you don't actually know that, because this is CSS properties. So can't I just do something like, can't I just cheat there, because this is definitely allowed. Okay, so what if I do React? Okay, let's see if this. Let's see if this. Oh, it looks like it works. So, okay, let's see. So now we still have those two containers here. So it has this content width here set to 1232. Okay, and then it is using that in our CSS there. And now now those two are actually, I don't know if you can see that, they are actually using the same JSX class. Okay, that's nice. So it's only producing this CSS that we have here once. Okay, that's actually great. I guess that those things are hashes of the CSS used then, I would most likely assume. That's actually very cool. So if we open this up now, it should still, yeah, they still have, if I hope you can see here, the front here is the first one and this is the second one. They have the same moving speed, even though they have completely different length. Okay, that's actually really nice. So we have modified and optimized that kind of, because now we have this custom property here, which is set on the container, and then the CSS can stay completely the same, even though it uses this for calculation of the timing and the speed. That's actually really great. I like that. I like that. I didn't know that works actually. So perfect, I guess. Yeah, I haven't implemented a marquee for marquee element for quite some time. I have done it before, as you might have guessed by now when I knew how essentially to do it, but I haven't done it in quite some time. So yeah, I like that actually. So that is a nice outcome, even though now that we haven't triggered any of our things there. What's happened now? I have no idea. Okay, let's just, to make things sure, let's restart again to make sure everything is working out. And then let's maybe open up the directory there again. Okay, so let's get this one so that I can easily make this a little smaller. So now let's open this directory here. Okay, this one scrolls, the next one should fit, the next one fits, and this one, yeah, fits as well. So, and if I make it smaller again, it is scrolling. Okay, that's actually really, really nice. I like that. So, yeah. This one fits, this one doesn't. So, yeah, okay. So this actually fits nicely and works out nicely. It works like it should. So our player is working, it's playing, it has this possibility now to open up folders. We can skip forward, backwards, we can stop and start songs again, we can pause and start them at the position where they were. So we have a rudimentary player already, and we now have this problem here with the scrolling solved. We can't scrub yet. However, I guess that we can implement quite easily. Maybe I do it off screen. Maybe I do it in one of the last sessions, because I guess that will be quite easily. It's just the usual sending information from the front end to the back end, which we already did in the first session. I guess we did that with Tauri commands, and then actually calling through to the libopenMPT on the module handle to just skip there. There was some thingy there. Let's see, like libopenMPT. There was at least the possibility to. Where was this? Modules there. And I guess there was something like we used get duration before, no, get position before. And I think I saw something like set position there. So yeah, there, set position. So we should actually be able to use our scrubber to simply get the position value of it and throw it back into the current playing module there, into libopenMPT, and then we should actually have scrubbing within the module. Yeah, I guess we can easily do that. So that shouldn't be a lot of that shouldn't be a lot of work to do. But nevertheless, for now we have finished what we set out to do today. So we have actually our mod player here, which is, as you can hear, hopefully playing a mod there. And yeah, I think that is really nice. Maybe let me make this smaller so that we can see our nice scroller there at least. That is a good outcome for this session. I like it. I hope you had fun implementing that as much as I did. And if you haven't done so, please give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel to be informed once more videos are out if you are interested in stuff like that. And if you have watched the video to this point, I am quite sure you are interested in stuff like that. Otherwise you wouldn't have gotten so far in the video. So thanks again for joining me on this adventure of coding this thing and other things here on this channel. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!